Let's talk about some wide ISA intervention strategies. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. I have Neuro Coffee in hand and it is perfect. All right, man, it's already a busy Tuesday. Got a clinic day coming up, so looking forward to that. We'll dig right into today's Q&A, which reminds me that if you would like to participate in a 15-minute consultation, go to askbillhartman@gmail.com, askbillhartman@gmail.com, and put the 15-minute consult in the subject line so I don't accidentally delete it. The videos are going up on YouTube. I'm getting a lot of questions on the YouTube channel, so I would suggest you go there and subscribe so you can get the first dibs on when those videos go up. So please do that. And then let's go ahead and dig into our call with Camilla that we did over the weekend. So we were talking about one of our clients who presents with a wide infrasternal angle and a lot of the superficial muscle strategies that we talk about. So there's a lot of concentric orientation, a lot of compressive strategy to the degree that Camilla is actually identifying a lot of accessory muscle breathing activity. And so we talked about strategies of how to adjust intensities for these people. So we're not promoting any further compensatory strategies. So literally just how to position somebody to promote this expansion that they need. So they need anterior posterior expansion, and then how to take advantage of some of the things that this client's already doing. So this client likes to go to spin class, and so how to adjust the spin bike to take advantage and to promote some of that posterior expansion that these people are lacking. So this is going to be a useful call for a lot of people because I think there's a fair amount of this that we tend to see. And again, not like life's been stressful for the last year or so, which is just additive to all these situations. So again, thank you, Camilla, for your participation. And again, go to askbillhartman@gmail.com. If you have a question, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Okay, clock is running. Camilla, give me your question, please.
So this new client, she presents differently from anybody else I've seen so far. She's about 55 years old. She's been athletic overall. She's been doing CrossFit until COVID. And then she was really worried about COVID. Her husband has some condition to where he's more sensitive to,
Understood.
So I think her stress level throughout COVID increased a lot. And I think that is also related to what she went through. At some point, she reached out to me about 3 weeks ago, and she has said I had this terrible pain up into my chest, and it wasn't deep. I mean, I wasn't worried that was a heart problem or even like a gastrointestinal problem. I felt really superficial, but really intense. She ended up going to physical therapy, and I guess some physical therapists gave her some move that resembles CPR. She said that it was excruciating. Yes.
CPR? Like they're pressing on her chest?
Yeah. And she said it was one of the worst pain I ever experienced in my life. After that, she's been seeing a different physical therapy, complaining of neck tightness, upper chest tightness. And when I saw her, I can visually see how high her chest bone is.
So she looks like it's way up. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
All right.
So anyway, we did a quick assessment. I know her for a while. I just haven't seen her throughout COVID, and she's definitely wide infrasternal angle. She's really limited in pretty much everything.
Okay.
She
like
has,
ERs and IRs are all kind of restricted.
Yeah, she has a little bit of external rotation, but definitely no flexion, neither at the hips or at the shoulders.
Gotcha.
No internal rotation.
Did you do any complex movements like squatting or split squats or anything like that? Okay. Were they all kind of restricted and uncomfortable?
Yeah. So her toe touch is not too bad, but she definitely doesn't have a round. You can see.
She shifts way back. Does she shift way behind her heels when she does her toe touch?
Not so much, not way behind. Actually, what I was surprised to see when she stands is being that she's so wide, actually her weight is shifted forward, kind of like muscle my narrows. And she has a really flat lower back when she stands. She has a sway back. She's not kyphotic at all. She's pretty much a straight back, but her pelvis is definitely forward.
Okay, now I got a good picture then. Good. Okay.
So her squat was horrible. Meaning, I don't judge. It's just like the way she went down, it was more a hinge, and immediately her toes toe out.
Right. So she's looking for range of motion. She's trying to find a space that she can move into. Right.
Yeah.
So to squat, she needs the external rotation. So she's going to orient her hips to try to find that. So that would be expected under these circumstances. So whenever you see that posterior compressive strategy, when you talk about like being really flat on that backside, that's somebody that's pushed way forward. Right. So she's got a lot of the superficial muscle activity that we talk about that does not allow her to expand posteriorly. And that's where you're going to pick up your external rotation. So it stands to reason that anything that you ask her to do that demands the external rotation, she'll find it, but it's going to be like way out there, right?
Yeah.
Chances are, she's also compressed anteriorly. And then what you're seeing is the response of the anterior orientations, which would make like a lot of people misunderstand when they see the sternum being up. They say, oh, you have an up pump handle. Well, if you had an up pump handle, you would have internal rotation, which sounds like she doesn't.
Not at all.
So again, this is going to be somebody that is compressed and she's moved so far forward to get that anterior orientation. This is just a response of the position, right? So if you later down, you don't do table tests, do you? Because you're in the gym, am I correct?
I don't do table tests. I had her lay down and I want to check her breathing. And immediately when she was supine breathing, she started breathing like into her neck. And that's
okay. So the fact that you can identify that is useful for us now, because what that's going to be is that's somebody that doesn't have the normal anterior and posterior expansion when she takes a breath in. So she still needs to create an increase in volume internally to create the negative pressure to bring air in. So what's the next best strategy? Well, if I grab the top of the rib cage and I pull it up, that creates that space, right?
Yeah.
And so this is where you start to see the people with the really big sternocleidomastoids, or you see the scalenes kind of jumping out at you. And these are the people that can't relax their neck, because if they did, they wouldn't be able to breathe.
Yeah.
So she's kind of,
I never seen it before in my life. Like,
so she's giving you some good information.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, here's the dilemma that you're walking into. You got somebody that doesn't have any posterior expansion. So that means that she doesn't really turn too well, right?
Yeah. So, I had her trying to rotate.
Yeah. It probably was like, exactly. Now, but there's a great retest for you to let you know that you're making a favorable change when you do. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, if she's a wide and she's compressed AP, we're going to try to rely on some gravity here to try to create some of this expansion. The simplest, easiest thing to do is to put her on her side.
Okay.
The minute you put her on her side, so gravity pushes down, right? And so the side of her that is closest to the ground, or that is on the ground, is going to get compressed into the ground. And what that does is it creates a spread anterior to posterior. So, and there's good research on this. It's like all you got to do is lay somebody on their side and they get bigger front to back. So that's advantageous. Okay. Now, she's going to be flattened out front to back. So she's got a lot of muscle activity on the front side. She's got a lot of muscle activity on the back side, and there's nothing on the sides to squeeze her in, which is one of the reasons why we want to put her on her side. Now we want to start with some gentle, and these are not full rolls. This is just getting her to start to roll forward and back through a small excursion on her side in the most relaxed manner possible, okay? So what you do is you put her on her side, you support her head on whatever you got, Air-X pads or whatever, right? And you want to make sure that the head and the neck and the axial skeleton is in a nice straight line. So she's rolling around her long axis of her axial skeleton, okay?
Yeah.
But we're just talking about small excursions. So this is lazy, it's slow, it's boring, and I would put it on the level of being meditative, right? And if you can kind of promote it in that manner, then it becomes useful to a lot of people, because chances are, it sounds like she's carrying a little bit of anxiety associated with what's happened over the last year. She's got her husband that she has to be a little concerned about. So again, that's going to be demonstrated physically as well.
Yeah.
And so we want to think about calming her system to try to access this gentle movement without the superficial strategies. Okay. So I start with these really, and I've done this with like professional athletes, and it might take 20 minutes in some cases to really make an impact, which seems like a really, really long time. Not something you would probably want to do during a training session, but this is homework. So you spend enough time showing her how to do this. So she's literally like, if you were to put her down on the ground, she's in side lying, and just put her arms and her hips at 90 degrees, but lazy. And then you put a hand on her shoulder and on her hip, and you just show her how to oscillate through, 20, 30 degrees of a roll. So she rolls back off of her side, she rolls up to her side, and then she rolls forward just a little bit at a time, making everything heavy and lazy. What you're trying to do is get her to sense what it feels like to move with less muscle activity, because everything that she's doing is, it's all tensed up and very, very superficial. Nasal breathing, quiet, relaxed nasal breathing. You never want to give somebody like this a strong exhale strategy, because that's what she lives in. And so you'll just reinforce it and it becomes interference again.
Yeah.
Okay. Once you get the initial changes, and she'll be able to tell you, number one, when she takes her breath in, because you won't see the neck strategy that she was using before. So you can use that to your advantage. And you say, take a breath in. You'll see the chest rise and fall. You'll see the belly expand as she breathes in, which would give you that normal kind of a breath in, but you won't see the neck strategy. Yeah. And then you kind of know that you got her in the right place. Okay. Once you do that, then you can start to give her like these full excursion rolls where she starts on her back. And then did you see my video where I talked about the rolling, like leading with your arm, leading with your leg kind of thing to create this? Okay. So she's going to be a lower extremity lead type of roller first, because that's going to create the posterior expansion as she rolls. Okay. So you're going to lead with legs first. Then eventually you can teach her how to roll with her arm. And then eventually it becomes an arm bar with like a kettlebell arm bar, which I just love. And then maybe eventually you don't have to give her that kind of a stuff. You just keep the arm bars in the program in some way, shape, or form, whether it be in her early stage, like her warm-ups or her readiness, or however you perceive that, or you put it near the end of the program so that anything that does kind of crank her up during her exercise program, you sort of calm her jets at the end by giving her something that's supplementary that's turning related. Okay. Other activities that you want to think about when you're doing the training session. So she's kind of squeezing herself against gravity. Yeah. And so you want to look at activities that would lighten her. Okay. So anything where she's pulling resistance downward actually lifts her up off the ground. So it makes it easier for her to capture the expansion strategies. So that when we talk about yielding, that's the connective tissues allowing the expansion to occur. So if we were to do like a staggered stance chopping activity, your half kneeling chops, all of those activities eventually become these turns that, and again, you break her into it gradually. You start like, if her feet are parallel, you start her in a little bit of stagger, you get a bigger stagger, you get a wider stagger, you get a bigger stagger, and then eventually she's doing split squats.
Okay.
Do you see how you build this in? Yeah. So you don't want to force her into anything. You don't want to give her aggressive exhale strategies. You don't want to put her in the hingy type of activities in the gym, because then you're just reinforcing her current strategy. Now, if performance was the game, that might be a good thing. I think under these circumstances, because she's uncomfortable, because you're seeing this accessory breathing strategy, I think you got to go kinder and gentler at first and just teach her how to move without this massive amount of muscle activity.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And
okay.
Yeah, I can see her. I can see her body, how tense she is.
Yeah. And so again, it's like giving her heavily loaded, deadlifts would be exactly what it's like. She's walking around doing a 300-pound deadlift, right? And so we want to give her this stuff. So like I said, we want to induce gentle turning, and then teach her how to do this in a controlled manner first, and then you can start to direct it with load, right? So we're not trying to load her physically to produce force. We're trying to use load to guide her into a position.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. What other questions do you have?
So, well, we're talking still about her. Since she is one of my students, I also do that.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And so she was asking me yesterday, and she is very open to change things up. Is it okay for her to keep doing the spin? And she said that, she feels some tension. I suggested she would elevate the handlebar and maybe dial down the intensity, check on the heart rate, because obviously the higher she goes, the more she's going to start reaching out to her neck.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so it's kind of like the same thing that we were talking about. It's like, okay, do you want her to climb hills on that thing? Probably not. Right. So we want her in the saddle.
Yeah.
Okay. We want a position that allows her to expand posteriorly. So you're, the advantage of the spin bikes is that you can work through different arm positions. So I could work on arms extended to create the posterior expansion, or I could go through elbows to get the posterior expansion. So now you have some options to play with, and you say, which one provides the best posterior expansion for you? Mm-hmm. Which one gives you the best head and neck position to allow her to breathe? Right. And so you can use that in your favor. The question that I would always offer is, like, you're just going to have to monitor the level of effort for her, because the minute you start driving the effort up, she starts to squeeze again. Mm-hmm. And so she's going to be the one that does probably a lot more steady state.
Yeah.
Than somebody that would be working like hard intervals. Like I said, you don't want her climbing hills on a bike, because all that's going to do is, like, it's all propulsion, right? She's going to be driving hard from the back, and she's going to be trying to shove herself forward. We want her to go backwards. So, but I do like those bikes because they do allow us to capture positions that allow that posterior expansion. So all you got to do is look at this stuff and say, what influence do I need? Okay, she's flat on the back. She's compressed on the back. How can I get her to expand and allow her to exercise at the same time? Okay, relative intensities matter, positions matter, and all you got to do is reinforce it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The last activity I gave her yesterday, just this one little thing, it felt good to her. I propped her knees up, and it was like a rock back elevated breathing. She said she felt like the neck wasn't kicking in at all in that position.
Exactly.
I was trying to expand like a posterior side.
Correct. Absolutely. So you're on the right track. You're doing good stuff. You're doing good stuff. But like I say, give her the sensation of when it turns off, so she can feel it, and then she can direct herself to find it.
Okay.
Right. So that's always the hardest part. It's always the hardest part. Once they get the sensation, now you have the vocabulary where you can have this conversation. You can say, I need you to let this tension go, because they don't even know they have the tension. They don't feel it. You just have to give her that sensation. Okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
You are very welcome.
Thanks.
You have a great day. I'll see you later. Okay.
Yes, sure.